Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty, and this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also, it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look into the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And so I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. Hi, and welcome back to another edition. And it is an honor and privilege to have this amazing next guest with us, Miriam Castilla. She's an ex-engineer and finance professional turned business mentor and course creator. She's committed to helping online coaches and service providers create more freedom and ease in their business. Through her Freedom and Ease Business Academy and signature magnetic money code, she blends mindset mastery with practical strategies, helping entrepreneurs align with their core values and claim financial and time freedom. Oh, I'm so excited to unpack this with her today. Miriam's own journey from the corporate fast track to rebuilding her life as a single mother to creating award-winning multiple six-figure businesses has shaped her holistic philosophy. True freedom comes from a sound practical strategies paired with a commitment to internal transformation. Hallelujah. I love this. Miriam helps her students achieve more than hitting their revenue goals. They retire partners, pay off mortgages, create a life of choices and freedom, and get to fall in love with their business again. Miriam is the best-selling author of today's Women Life Balance Secrets, as well as the 5-Minute Magnetic Money Management System, and has been lucky enough to speak on stage alongside some of her biggest heroes and mentors. Her podcast, go and check it out, Freedom and Ease in Online Business, is dedicated to inspiring online business owners to trade burnout for ease and alignment. Her business name is Freedom and Ease Business Academy, and she's got a little giveaway. If you head over to her website, Miriam Castilla, MiriamCastilla.com/quiz, and you'll get your little goodies there. So it's an honor and a privilege to have this amazing lady with us today. Miriam, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thanks for having me, James. I'm excited to have a chat.
Oh, fantastic. Now, what a journey that you've been on. And I want to find out, what was that transition for you where you go, done with the corporate lifestyle, done with all that. I need a better opportunity. Need a better life. What Share with us that story and what made those decisions for you?
Yeah, it's funny when you look back, you can kind of see how it all makes sense. And when you're in the middle of it, nothing makes sense, right? And so I look back now and I go, okay, yes, I can see how every little piece of the puzzle of everything that I teach and bring together now came through that own experience, but it came in stages and kind of bits and pieces of the puzzle. So initially it was the corporate burnout, which so many people have been through and relate to because we do what we think we're meant to do that makes everybody else happy and looks good on paper. And I was lucky enough to wake up one day and go, I don't want to do this anymore. This sucks. I don't want to be in the city battling traffic 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. And I was lucky enough to be able to leave that job. Actually, it was a bit of a longer story. I went part-time for a while, which halved my hours and my pay, but not my workload. So I wasn't keen on continuing that. And it kind of led me down that path of going, all right, what do I actually want? And then, fast forward and throw in a divorce and having to start all over again. I was like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have given up that corporate career, although I didn't want to put my young kids in childcare, right? So as much as it was really hard at the time, it allowed me to design what suited me. and what lifestyle I wanted. And it was at that time that I realized it was all about my mindset as well. Because, I remember one of my good friends saying, Miriam, you're this amazingly intelligent woman who's done all these great things. You're so employable. And here I was thinking, nobody's going to want me. I'm a burnt out ex-corporate single mum. And so, it's your headspace that you have to get right. And then that led me to the finance business, which did really, really well and got me really excited about helping people achieve financial freedom. But I recognized one really important thing, both in my clients and in just small business owners, and that's that more money doesn't change your money patterns. And that was really interesting. So, all of that together and a few other bits along the way kind of led me to this, okay, well, we need to design what do we actually want? We need to take the lead on that, not leave it to chance. And then we need to recognize that it's what's going on in our headspace, plus those practical steps and systems and habits we put in place or pick up and learn that need to come together and kind of support each other.
Wow, amazing. That's beautiful. Looking back on that journey, what for you personally has been your biggest awareness piece and your biggest lesson for you from going from that corporate world?
Yeah, I think that abundance is a state of being, is how I would sum that up. I was on a great salary, and if I'd continued, I might have been CEO of a petroleum company one day, like some of my friends ended up being, that continued. And some of them burnt out and weren't happy to be there either. So abundance is a state of being. And sometimes, we get caught in that more money will fix the problem, or we throw money at the problem, or we lose ourselves in retail therapy and trying to keep up with, the Joneses. And it's just not going to achieve the result we want. So we really have to look at, we talk about being worth more. Well, we have to actually look at increasing our self-worth and our self-belief. And I think that the more that you really build on that internal well-being, the less stuff you need anyway. And then you actually don't even care that much anymore, right?
That is so true. I love that statement around abundance, and I think it's absolutely spot on because that transformation comes from within, and as you said, more money and throwing at retail therapy and all those kind of things, it won't fix it. It'll give you that nice little dopamine hit initially, and then you'll be back probably even back further than you were before. Now, the people that you work with and the people that you make change with, what are their what are their key frustrations and challenges that they come to you and go, help, help? What are those frustrations and challenges that they're currently facing before you do the magic wand on them?
Before I wave my magic wand, yeah. So it's generally money is a big frustration where they'll have this love-hate relationship with money. Like they want more, but really there's still a uncertainty and a fear around it because no one teaches us how to manage money. So it's this, I want more money, and once I get more money, then I can relax. And the really interesting thing is that a lot of people are actually wired that no amount of money will ever help them relax because they're actually driven by fear and a sense of lack. And I talk about money habit archetypes, and that's the accumulator archetype, always wanting to put more nuts away for the winter, and it never feels like enough. So that's a big, big thing that I see a lot of. And the other pattern is that, I'll work hard now so I can have freedom and time with the family. And
Hey guys, just a little side note here. How's it going? Are you on track this year? I know that sometimes this part of the year we can feel like we're in a bit of a grind, a bit of in the trenches. Are you on track from the original plans that you set out for the rest of this year? What I've realized is that between with this time of year, we get so distracted and we've got trying to chase so many shiny balls and go down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I created a program called the 90. It's a framework that actually allows you to achieve more in 90 days than ever before. Some of the feedback that we've got from some of the people that have used the process, the 90, is that they've achieved more in 90 days than the whole previous year. So if you'd like to have the tools, have the techniques, have the framework on the 90, so you and your team can achieve more in 90 days than ever before. What it does, and it impacts you of how to get clear, what you need to do, and who you need to be to show up in order to achieve the things you want to achieve over the next 90 days. Simply head over to jamesshort.com.au, click on join the waitlist, fill in your details, and one of the team members will be in touch and take you through the 90 framework. On with the show.
So I guess the common denominator with both is no, you've actually got to live it now and then build on it.
Oof, very powerful. Very, very powerful. And then so people come to you, what do you do? How do you take them through that journey? And what are some of the, I guess you've said archetypes and looking at the patterns. And then are there any other key things that you take them on? Obviously, it's all personal dependent, but are there any uh, cons consistent flavors or themes that you see throughout the people that you work with?
Yeah, so throughout my journey, I've actually moved more and more into just creating group programs because I think there's incredible power in people coming together as a group and traveling through a journey. And I think it's also my engineering background that goes, okay, how do we break this down into repeatable steps that anyone can follow, right? And make it really simple. And the interesting thing is, it's actually really simple. And therein lies, kind of the challenge for people because they think, well, I feel like I have this big problem, so surely it's going to take something really complicated and difficult to overcome it. But it's actually quite simple stuff, but you have to actually apply them and stick with them. So my approach is very modular, and you can kind of start at any point, but it's the energetic alignment, which is actually about how do you feel? Like, how do you feel
Mm.
about money? How do you feel about abundance? Do you feel comfortable charging for your service, asking for the deal, asking for the sale, asking for the listing? Do you feel comfortable, or do you get all like, and something comes out of your mouth and then you just want to run away? So that's all to do with energetic alignment with money and abundance, being comfortable actually receiving. So that's one big piece of the puzzle. And the next one is mindset. And that's really about the unconscious stories we run. What are those stories that you were programmed with as a child that you keep reinforcing, reliving, recreating over and over again and believe to be a reality? So that's the other piece of the puzzle. And then the third one is actually just really basic, simple money management, which no one was ever taught. But then throw in a business, and you've got business money, personal money, you're going, I don't know what's what. I'll just borrow from here to top up over there and hope for the best. And there's a credit card over there we're going to ignore for a while. And somehow one day it's supposed to magically, just all take off and turn into just $1 million property portfolio. And it doesn't always happen that way. So you've got to be able to take care of, the cents so that the dollars will take care of themselves. So that's my approach. It's those three pieces of the puzzle. And honestly, it doesn't even matter where people start. But my favorite place to start is with the money management, because that's where people have so many avoidance tactics and
Mhm.
strategies that just by doing that, it actually addresses a lot of mindset and energetic stuff because all of them work together and play off each other. And my approach is very much, do the money management in a way that fosters an abundance mindset, not a lack mentality, if that makes sense.
That is, yeah, total sense. And that's so true because people have, one, it's not, as you said, it's not taught at schools, or it's not usually a conversation that a lot of people have around the dinner table, so to speak, or even around the boardrooms. Yes, your P&Ls and all that kind of stuff within the boardroom, but it's like, well, what's the feeling around those? What's the mindset around those? And as you said, if you can tackle that, that just opens up so many more possibilities and abundance way of thinking because you've actually addressed it, not putting your, as you said, not putting your head in the sand and thinking, oh, it'll all go away one day. But yep, no, I usually builds and builds and builds and then bite you on the ass real quick after that.
Yeah.
Um, can you share with us like maybe one or two case studies where someone has come through with those frustrations and you've guided them through, maybe one or two or even the three modules, and they've like just completely shifted their paradigm and obviously results.
Yeah, there's one really good example of a lady I work with, and she's a sales coach, right? So she helps people perform at really high standards, and she's fantastic at what she does. And so she gets these great results for her clients. But when she first met me, her clients would come in like all at once and then nothing, and then all at once and nothing. So, of course, her bank account reflected that, and she had no idea how to manage her money because she'd convinced herself that she sucked with money. So she was just completely avoiding it. And she said, Miriam, literally, I've had five-figure months quite consistently, like multiple five-figure months. But right now I have $6.27 in the bank. And I'm going, okay, well, that's not good. So what we actually worked on was just getting her confident around managing money, because she was really good at bringing the money in. Like, she can get clients easily, not a problem. But then she would literally sabotage and block herself and get rid of the money really quickly because she was uncomfortable holding on to the money because she didn't have the confidence of knowing what to do with it. So we started there. And then that led us to then examine, what are those stories you've been telling yourself around money, that you're no good with it, that it burns a hole in your pocket, that, all this kind of thing. And then she started building consistency. And the cool thing was that, I remember she had a month, I think it was second or third month after we really got stuck into it. And she had a month where she went, Shivers, I just sold more this month than I did all last year. And then, we had to jump on a call because she's like, what if that's it for the year now? Looking back at the old pattern. So, we had to really look at, what are those stories you've been telling yourself? You've got the money system, like, you're ready for the money to
Yep.
come in. Everything's sorted. There's a little conveyor belt just ready to take all the money where it needs to go. And she was like, okay, I can calm my farm now. I can keep doing what I do. And so she just kept going from there. And yeah, that's been a really, really good one.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful because it is. It's people can bring the money in, but it's like, what do I do with it? As you said, where does it need to go? And to build that confidence, I think is a real game changer. To build that education and confidence and that internal dialogue, I think that has a really impact on all the amazing people that you see and you work with. Um, if there was a gold nugget, or if there's I mean, we've talked about many gold nuggets, but if there was one strategy that people could think about to start this process right now, what would be one thing that you go, here's a question I want you to think about, audience, around either one of those three key areas? What would be that one key strategy or question?
Yeah, questions are great. So I'm a hypnotherapist as well, which is something I added along the track because I realized people weren't changing their patterns, right? You can lead the horse to water, but making them drinks not fun. So hypnosis is great because you deal with the unconscious, and the unconscious loves questions. So it's really important people learn to ask themselves resourceful questions where their unconscious will go looking for an answer that's going to serve them, right? So one of my favorite questions to ask is, well, first of all, start becoming aware of your patterns, right? And whenever you see a pattern, there's a reason for that pattern. There's something driving that pattern. So then you can ask yourself, I wonder what belief is driving that pattern. So maybe it's the pattern that, you'll get a run of sales and then nothing. Or, people will go, yeah, sure, I'd love to give you that listing, and I've got 10 friends who are ready to sell as well. And then nothing happens. What is that pattern? And then you just ask yourself resourceful questions such as, I wonder what the story is that's keeping that pattern alive. Like, what am I telling myself? And what if that's not true?
Mm.
And that just gets your unconscious to go, whoa, hey, hang on, what just happened? And it just opens you right up. It kind of disrupts all those neural pathways and just opens you up to a whole new way of seeing things.
Beautiful. Love those question techniques. Oh, so good. Miriam, on the show, we have a 60-second quiz to find out a little bit more about our guests. Are you willing to play?
Yes, please.
Here we go. All right. Favorite movie?
The Matrix, it's a documentary.
I love it. Favorite food?
Pizza, hot, cold, any time of day.
Excellent. Favorite holiday destination?
Greek islands.
Ooh. Do you have a morning routine?
Yes, I do. It's about 15 minutes of yoga and a bit of strength stuff, and then a 20-minute meditation.
Beautiful. What about your evening routine?
A cup of peppermint tea and some 85% dark chocolate.
Ooh, yum. Do you have a most embarrassing moment?
Too many to count, James. And I'm too old to care.
I love it. If you could choose five inspirational people to have dinner with, who would they be? They could either be dead or alive.
Yeah, I saw this on your list, and this is hard. And do you know what I ended up going with? I would love to have dinner with my deceased grandparents and my dad, who all passed away because I never got to ask them a whole bunch of questions that I was too young, too caught up in my own world to ask at the time. And I think
Mm,
that would actually be really super valuable. So, yes, sorry,
beautiful.
Nelson Mandela and Oprah.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Do you have a biggest regret?
Um, no,
Great.
it's not
Great.
my style.
If you were Prime Minister for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
Mandatory money management education in schools.
Yep, definitely. Definitely. Best piece of advice.
Best piece of advice. One of my mentors, when I was running a mortgage business, said to me, if you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect anyone else to?
Mm, great
I was
piece.
like, ouch.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Okay. Don't got to be so
fine.
direct. Uh, and is there any other way that the audience can get in contact with you to find out more information?
Yeah, they can jump on my website, which is miriamcastilla.com, or feel welcome to email me if you just want to ask a general question or don't know where to start. I'm just Miriam at miriamcastilla.com.
Wonderful. Miriam, we could be talking, I reckon, for hours on so many different topics. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to have you on the show today. And thank you so, so much for being here.
Thanks so much, James. It's been a lot of fun.